What up, everybody? It is we're back in the stew, and I have my oldest friend, my oldest and dearest friend, um, my oldest and dearest friend, Adam, as in the first man, Alexander, as in the great, and champion, as in world champion. Welcome, and thank you so much for being here, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You just had to do that, didn't you?
Yeah, duh.
Thank
Well,
you.
I can't give you the intro that we would always say at Long Beach State.
No,
Who am I? I can't do
not
that one.
appropriate.
No, not appropriate. So you get the other one, which is pretty good. But man, thank you so much for being here. I know you've got a completely full schedule, and you're doing all kinds of stuff, which we're going to get into in a second. But I really appreciate you being here. I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm really excited. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course. Wouldn't miss it for the world.
Thanks, man. Okay, so I already told everybody your name, but I wanna talk a little bit about you, and anything that I miss or forget, just because I'm dumb, please fill in the gaps. But Adam is currently coaching at the California All Stars in San Marcos, formerly coaching and directing at the California All Stars Ontario, which we had the pleasure of working together for I think 5 or 6 years up there. Before that was still in San Marcos, coaching at the California All Stars and doing being a location director there. Prior to that, you coached at Titan Elite for a few years. We coached there together for a little bit. Before that, I think it was South Bay. Is it South Bay Elite?
South Bay All Stars.
South Bay All Stars. There
Yeah,
we go. Which is also where Christy Hayes, or I don't know what her
yeah,
last name was back then, but she
yeah.
was there. The
She was there. She cheered at Long Beach State.
yep. We
She started working there, and then when she ended up moving to Vegas, there was a job opening there. So I got a job. That was my first All-Star team, and that was the 2005, 2006 season. So I've been doing
uh,
this is like my 18th season doing
whew,
this.
it's a long time.
It's been a
Long
very
time.
long time.
Yeah, so please fill in as far as your professional career, coaching, fill in any gaps that I may have missed. I also former music producer. We worked together at Sounds Like That. You, me, Casey Marlowe, a bunch of other people. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I've
fill in
literally
anything I
done it
missed.
all. I've done it all. So,
Yeah.
started on USA staff teaching camps, and I did that the summer of 2004, 5, and 6, and that's when I started coaching All-Star Cheer as well. So I got like my feet wet, learning how to coach, teach, all that, doing the camp thing, like so many people do in this industry. Um, Started working in a gymnastics gym that had about 3 teams, so a micro gym, essentially what we would call it now, with about 45, 50 athletes in it. Then ended up going and working at Titan Elite for a couple seasons, which we would call like a D2 gym now, which we were a very successful D2 gym. And that definitely gave me a little bit more experience and as a better coach. And when we were working there, that's when we started sharing at California All Stars on the open team. And then been there ever since. The rest is history.
Yeah.
I think 15 years in here, been here since 2007. So
Yeah.
it's been a long time, and I've seen my program grow from, when we first started California All Stars, the banners on the wall were looking a lot different than they do now. Bode and I were there before the first NCAA win, before the first Worlds win, obviously, and just to see like the growth of the program, and for me to be able to be a part of that through like pretty much every stage, it's just really cool to see the growth and just the hard work that went into that, and just seeing, how much of an impact the program has had on the industry at this point.
Mhm.
Um, it's just night and day from when I started at the California All Stars. So that's pretty much been my journey.
Yeah.
Um, and now, I mean, I've coached in 3 different locations at the California All Stars. And when um, I started here, we only had 1 location. Or actually, we had 2. We had the South Gym in San Diego. So that's back when gyms would have like a little satellite location that'd be like maybe 30 minutes away. Then that was kind of the situation with San Marcos. And now I've worked in Ontario, San Marcos, and currently going out to Arizona once a week to coach the Vixens. And I'm just loving that, and just being able to work in different locations, and you know, work with so many different coaches, so many different athletes. It definitely makes me a better coach. I get a little bit of variety of styles and all of that. And I just absorb like a sponge wherever I go. I love learning from different coaches, seeing different styles, not just within our own program, but I love going to work with other gyms because I'll see something that someone does and I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. Like I never would have thought of that. Or I can take something that they do and like mix it with what I do and just, create something really cool. So
Yeah,
love
that's
moving around, getting to see a lot of different stuff.
That's awesome. I mean, you touched on a lot of things that the questions that I have, so your intuition is guiding you well. But I want to talk about something because you mentioned something. Speaking of banners, a couple things I don't want to miss. Number one, congratulations on your most recent win at the Aloha Championships. That's a big deal. That two of the best teams in the world right now competing against each other consistently, and Vixens won this weekend, so congratulations on that, coach. And again, speaking of banners that are hanging, you were a huge part of not only the banners that are currently hanging in San Marcos, but you put up all of the first NCAA wins that Cali, Ontario had with Midnight, with Onyx, with Shadow. You have a lot of NCAA wins under your belt. We also can't forget the 2011 Worlds win with the California All-Stars Co-ed. I don't know why I said California like that. I think I was thinking Cali Co-ed, but it's California was already on its way
It's
out. But
I
Cali Co-ed 2011 Worlds win. And, once again, with you and me, we were a part of the team that won the very first Globe for the California All-Stars. I know that we had that year, Co-ed, Elite, and International got the silver, but our award ceremony was first. So we won the first Globe for the California All-Stars over at the
Yeah,
Indiana
that was
Jones,
fun.
the Indiana Jones Theater.
Yeah, that was not fun.
No,
For the
in like
kids, for the kids
90
watching,
degrees.
once upon a time, we had to compete outside at Worlds, and it was 95 degrees and humid, and we used to wear turtleneck long sleeve uniforms back then.
Oh,
At least
yikes.
they weren't the polyester ones; they were like the stretchy ones, but
Yeah.
still, like that wasn't fun.
I
I
had
mean,
polyester in high school.
yeah,
Yeah, it was
so
rough.
did I. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we all did in high school back then.
Well, that actually, once again, great segue. Where, when, and how did you first get your start in cheerleading? Like, how did you walk day one? I am now a cheerleader. How did you get there?
Um, I remember being in high school. I think I was freshman, probably a freshman when Bring It On came out. With so many people that I know now and work with, especially like Tanaz, I would have never thought watching that movie and seeing that incredible cheerleader, that incredible flyer, um, that I would be coached by her, working with her, trusted by her, to run a location, to coach teams, to do all that. So that in itself was just like mind blowing for me. But I saw that movie and it just looked so cool. Like I just wanted to do that. I wanted to be a part of that. And I didn't know if I ever was going to be able to, but I through high school was friends with some cheerleaders, and every year they'd be like, yeah, you should try out. Like everyone wanted boys to be on the team, so I started taking gymnastics classes, tumbling classes, to get that back handspring for tryouts. Um, so did that, tried out. I only cheered my senior year in high school, so I went straight from doing 1 year of high school cheer to cheering at Long Beach State, where we cheered together. That's where we met. I met you when I was 17 years old, and that experience is really how my career took off. If I wouldn't have gone to Long Beach State, if Eric Anderson would not have chosen me and put me on his team, um, none of this would have been possible for me, to be completely honest. I met so many incredible people in that program. Um, I learned so much about cheerleading, about confidence, and I just had so many people to look up to. I remember, when I first met you, you were an incredible tumbler, you were a stunter, you can do it all, and you made a career of this at a young age. Like you were doing USA camps at the time, you were a music producer at the time, you were coaching All-Star Cheer, I think, at Cal Elite at the time. Um, so you were kind of doing it all, and you were one of the first people that I saw that was making a career of it, and I just thought that that was so cool, and I wanted to be just like you. So then I fell into the trap, and here we are. But then I went ahead and I taught camps and I mixed music and I did all of the above. And um, because of that, I got to meet so many more incredible people and travel the country and work with so many people and learn so much and see places that I never would have thought I would be able to see. And there's really nothing else like it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so man, shout out to was it Harupa Hills High School?
Rupa Valley.
Harupa
Rupa
Valley,
Hills
sorry.
is another high school.
Shout
I
out to
don't think that
Harupa
high school
Valley.
was even built when I was in high school.
Shout out to Eric Anderson. Yeah, man,
Yeah.
that was the beginning. I mean, he recruited me while I was teaching a camp to his high school team. That was like the whole. So it's like he saw me teaching a camp. I was just going to community college, and he saw me teaching a camp. It's like, hey, I'm just took over the program at Long Beach State. You want to cheer there, and maybe get school paid for? I'm like, yeah. So I was like, it was all just Eric Anderson, the orchestrator. That was just crazy, and brought so many of us together. Brought you and me together. Brought Casey Marlowe in. Brent, who's still a good buddy of ours, and yeah, so many
So many
people.
great people, and honestly, like I said, I wouldn't have any of this if it wasn't for him taking a chance on some little boy that knew nothing about cheerleading.
Wow, 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 wow. Okay, so now fast forward to today. Obviously, coaching. You already mentioned Vixens. Tell us what other teams you're coaching, and then what other hats you're wearing. Even outside of just doing coaching, what else you're doing?
So currently, I am coaching Miss Mafia, which is our small junior level 5 team in San Marcos. I'm also coaching S4, which is our U18 level 4 team. Um, Coaching Onyx, small co-ed level 6 team, which is our first year in that division. With this team, it was originally Onyx was from Ontario and it was our large co-ed 4 team, which was had a very successful run in itself and it was always one of my favorite teams to coach. It just always had a bunch of like passionate young men and women on that team that were just so inspiring, not just to me as a coach, but to people that watched them. It was always like a team that people wanted to be on. So I just really felt that energy with this group when, I mean, we weren't even counting on having this team at the beginning, but we had, a lot of kids move up through the ranks in our own program. We had some new talent from some other places. And of course, I have a handful of the old Blue Crew kids, so it's just that mix. It was giving me that Onyx vibe. So it was just pulling on my heartstrings to use that name and bring that back.
Yeah,
It's been a fun season with them, just watching them grow as most of them have never been a World's athlete before. I think I asked them the week before NCA to raise their hand, like how many of you have been in that arena before? We had like three out of
right,
22, you
right.
know?
Yeah,
And they handled it so well. I remember like sobbing with them coming off the floor on day one, just because, and I know that you were there outside the circle, kind of watching the conversation go down, but I had tears in my eyes because I was so proud of their courage, going out there in that arena, which is very intimidating. I'm like tearing up again
yeah,
talking about it, but it can be very intimidating to the most seasoned, most talented athletes, and to see a new group of kids go in there and handle it, handle their business and just be so brave and courageous. That is just a moment that I personally am not going to forget.
yeah,
So yeah, those are my San Marcos teams.
yeah.
And then I also coach Vixens, which is an incredible honor for me to do. I usually fly to Arizona on Saturdays, like first flight out, work there during the day, last flight back at night, and then coach all day again on Sunday in San Marcos. But coaching that incredible team. The girls are just so humble and so hardworking. They're not entitled at all. Like they just really like they get along. They work hard together. They have fun while they do it. And like I truly feel like you can see that on the floor when with their performance and just um, all of that. Like it's a coach's dream, honestly. And like you touched on before, like with Aloha last weekend, like we had 2 zeros in a row, which has not happened this season. We've had our fair share of difficulties this season, and we were really just going into it hoping like let's hit 0 2 days in a row, and then from there we see what happens.
Yeah.
We're in a situation where we're in a very talented division, and not only in a talented division, but we go head to head almost every weekend with the best team in the division, historically, and is just so consistent. Um, and the cool thing is there's nothing but respect between us and SC Fearless. I've had the pleasure of coaching several athletes on that team, and just watching them be successful no matter what color they're wearing, that's a win for me. Also, I have nothing but respect for Nikki and Jordan. They are such talented, passionate coaches, and like I'm a fan of that. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter where you coach. I am such a fan of great coaching. Like it
Mm,
inspires me. I love watching it. I love when great coaches get what they deserve and they get the wins and the respect and all of that. Just like I love watching great teams.
yeah.
I can appreciate all different styles, whether it's theatrical or collegiate or, like everyone, I feel like so many people feel like you can only celebrate one thing, one program, one team, one style, and I don't think that's the case. And I think most people, in our generation or with our amount of experience in this industry would agree, appreciate talent, appreciate hard work, appreciate, excellence
Yeah.
in every way, shape, and form. Because if you're truly a fan of cheerleading, that's the way to do it.
Yeah. Man, that's so well said. And I wholeheartedly agree with you. And it's like I have that, thought process, and I get hate all the time. Not hate, but I get like, just I get a hard time from people because I mean in other sports, like I'm a oh, I'm gonna get killed. I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. I know it's been rough for like 30 or 40 years, but at the same time, like when Tom Brady was playing, at the Patriots and in our division and just killing us year after year after year, I still admired what Tom Brady was doing. Like I admire greatness. It's like that's what I admire. And how fortunate, was I to grow up in the time frame where even though it was against my team and he's just killing us, I got to watch the greatest quarterback of all time, and I watched him play almost every game. And it's like, how lucky am I to just be in that time frame, right? Like in this generation that I got to watch the greatest quarterback of all time win more Super Bowls than any other quarterback. And it's like, yeah, and you're saying that with like in cheerleading terms, like, yeah, game recognized game, and you respect that. And yeah, that's brilliant. I love that. And man, I feel like we could use that in the industry, is just appreciating greatness at every level wherever you see it. You know, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you mentioned so many of those kids. Not only on this year's Fearless, but last year, the year before, really since their time of being successful. So many of those coaches, we've both coached, or kids. So many of those kids we've both coached, and I even. I posted something the other day. Drew, a kid that I coached, who now owns Top Gun in Arizona. He had a great NCAA. He's doing great things with his small girl team. He won with I believe I think it's senior co-ed 3 team. He won NCAA, and he had a great post about it. And what warmed my heart, and now I'm probably gonna tear up, is that Drew and so many of those fearless kids, and Sean McGee, who is dominating the high school
Killing
scene
it.
with Live Oak. There's
Killing it.
so many kids, even Alexis Martin, who's not even in cheerleading anymore, but now she's selling houses in Pennsylvania. But, you know, I took Drew's thing, and as soon as I saw it, I'm like, man, even though I wasn't able to coach Drew to an NCAA championship, right? And I wasn't able to coach Sean to a championship, and I wasn't able to coach Alexis to a championship, right? Even though I wasn't able, and my exact words in my post was, even though I wasn't able to get them to the promised land, seeing that they got there on their own was like, and now again, I'm tearing up. It's like, I just love seeing that, a kid on Fearless, Kaylee Gutierrez, such a sweet kid, such a hard worker, so respectful, so just honest, genuine, pure, loves cheerleading, just loves what she does, has a good time while doing it. And it's like, and now on that team, she won her first NCAA, she won her first majors. And it's like, I couldn't get you there when I coached you, but seeing you there at the mountaintop, it fills me. It fills me with so much joy, and like I'm just so happy for her. And yeah, you said that beautifully, and then I butchered it, but
No, it's so cool, and like it's there's something to be said about being an important part of the journey because I've been able to get a lot of athletes there, but not everyone, and no one can. No, I mean, we're just human, and sometimes things don't align, but just being able to see, I mean, and knowing that you could have been a small part of that for anyone is just, reward in itself. So,
Yeah. And even, those Onyx kiddos that were, there is some Blue Crew kiddos that are on there, but there's also some kids that were on, Glamour. These emojis, I can't. But there were some kids from Glamour that were on there, kids from Sable that were
yeah,
on there, and to see them be in the arena. I mean, the NCAA arena, enough said. Anybody that's in cheerleading knows that is the place. That's one of the hardest places to perform. And to see them go out there and, like, watching Brooke hit her stunt, watching Amara hit her stunt, watching Alexis hit her stunt, watching Rob hit his stunt, watching, all these kids, watching Cheyenne hit her stunt and doing all these things. Like, it is, that in itself is, a mountaintop to be proud of. And it was like, I was outside the circle just watching from a distance because, it's like I'm so proud of them. And I don't want to miss an opportunity to tell you how proud of you I am. I know that might sound weird because we're pretty much the same age. I am older, um, but
yes,
but
let's not
I,
forget that.
but I am so proud of you and the things. I have so much respect and admiration for you, not just as a coach, but just who you are as a person. And I admire your principles, tremendous character, tremendous integrity. I admire how loyal you are. It is, I think, even to a fault, how loyal you are. But there's so much about you that I love and I respect. And, I'm fortunate that you're a part of my life. And I know that these kids and these parents that you coach and enrich their lives, that they're very fortunate and they know it too. So I didn't want to miss an opportunity to say that, to give you some flowers.
Thanks,
So
bud.
yeah, you're welcome. Okay, back to some questions. Okay, so you touched on a lot of things already, but what I'm curious is, what are some of your favorite things about what you do now, and has any of that changed from maybe when you first started coaching to now? Right? Is there anything that you love now that maybe you didn't love before, or that you used to love that really isn't that important to you, or has anything shifted over your long, illustrious career?
I mean, I'm, that's a tough question just because I am not the same person or the same coach that I was 10 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, a
Well,
lot's changed.
let me word it this way and make it easier. What gets you excited? Like, what is there something that gets you really excited? Like, oh, I can't wait to do fill in the blank.
I think when I was a younger coach, and I think this is common for a lot of people, winning was a motivator. Not that that was all that mattered to me because I cared deeply, deeply about my athletes and was super involved in my athletes' lives, on and off the mat. But winning was a huge motivator, and that was like, if I couldn't do that, then it was all for nothing almost. And that's not to say that that was always true, but like, when you're younger, that matters to you a lot. Um, and then I also think when you get a taste of that victory, like once you've kind of won it all, like I've won worlds, I've won majors, I've won NCAA, everything that you could win. And then after that happens, you're like, okay, well, I have this ring now. And like, I couldn't even tell you where the rings are. Like sitting in a drawer. I don't put them on for the competitions because it's like at this point, it's just, I don't need that validation or that attention or anything like that. And that's another thing. I almost don't want any attention at all anymore. You're lucky you're getting this call. But like I'm not I'm not like a
Don't
big
I
social
know it?
media person. I don't like, I'm not doing it for the attention or anything like that. Um, I think I was in my prime maybe 10 years ago because I was winning and all that kind of stuff, and I was, I cared about, being on social media and all that kind of stuff. And now it's just my motivation is so much different. I think, I was winning back then, but I think right now I'm the best coach that I've ever been.
Hmm.
Um, I'm better at teaching. I'm better at gauging my athletes, what their needs are. Um, I think I'm a smarter coach now. I think I understand the score sheet and the judging process more than I ever have. Um, I understand sports psychology better than I did when I was younger, for sure. I'm just so much smarter, so I really enjoy that maturity that I've been able to develop as I've learned, not just from my own experiences, but from so many other people in this industry and having like mentorship from incredible people. Um, so like the motivation, the way that I look at the game, I think has changed a lot
Hmm.
for me.
All right. And what I mean, what do you think what do you think one of your greatest strengths is? Now having all the experiences that you've had, the success, and just the time that you've had in the industry, the different types of athletes that you've coached, the different types of coaches that you've coached with. If you had to write down like a top three list of your strengths, what you think would be at the top of that?
I think, and I'm sure Kelly could attest to this, I think my greatest strength is um, staying calm under pressure. I'm really good at game day, really good at that. I feel confident walking into a warm-up room, pre-warm-up, whatever it is. I feel confident going behind the curtain with the team, and I feel confident in being able to find the right words that are needed at that time
Hmm.
and understanding, the emotions and the nuance and all that kind of stuff. I think that that's my greatest strength. I think that's because I'm very like politically minded and I was like a political science major and all that kind of stuff. And that is a cool way that I can kind of use something that I'm like naturally good at or interested in this industry because it's not necessarily the same thing. But I think that that is personally my greatest strength, being able
Hmm.
to handle that, like walking into the fire and just being able to stay calm and confident, knowing that I've pretty much seen it all at this point and at the end of the day, it's all going to be okay, and it's going to be what it was supposed to be. But staying cool, calm, and collected is always, the best option, the best choice to get you through.
Yeah.
Because, like I always say, the first person to lose their composure loses.
Yep. Yep. And I
So that
can.
would be my number one. I mean, obviously, I've been around a long time, been around a lot of great coaches, and so I've been able to, become very proficient in teaching skills, whether it's stunting, tumbling, all of that. Um, but like I said, there's some things you can only learn through experience and through wisdom and through maturity, through age, and one of those things I think is just being able to handle that pressure when it matters the most.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would agree with you there. Okay, so then my next question is how do you stay knowledgeable and informed as a coach or you mentioned just a moment ago how, you feel like you're the best coach that you've been, the judging process the best or the best that you have in your career and that you know the score sheet very well. Like how do you stay informed and knowledgeable and like up to date? What do you do to like make sure that you're on the ball?
Well, I mean, it's like just having a philosophy of never stop learning, and that's something that I think in these interviews, um, talking to a lot of people with experience, whether it's this industry or any industry, they're going to tell you never stop learning. Never be too proud. I've seen so many talented coaches that think that they finally haven't figured out once they've won something or they won everything and that the work is done at that point. But it's so much harder staying on top than it is getting there. And that's where you see the true I don't want to say talent because talent comes in so many different ways, but I think the people that are the most diligent, the people that have longevity, that speaks volumes to me. Longevity, people that have been doing it and successful for 10 plus years, decades. Some of these gym owners from these programs that have been around for 30 years, um, coaches that have won consistently, not only in different gyms or programs, different divisions, all that kind of stuff. Um, those people never stopped. They learned every inch along the way. So I think it's about that. I obviously study the score sheets when they change. They change often, not just every year, but sometimes several times throughout the year. So obviously staying abreast of that, doing your homework, like just reading. Don't assume, because that gets people all the time. And having conversations with other experienced people and talented people. Just your circle does so much for your success. Um, if you want to be a great coach, hang out with great coaches. just like if you want to be a great athlete, hang out with great athletes. I have the privilege of having friends all around the country, all around the world with talented people. I think one of the things that has made me a better coach is, a lot of people, I don't know, feel, that they are in competition with their competitors
Mm.
in a sort of way where it's like, you don't, there's like a arm's distance or something like that. I
Mm.
like to become friends with my competitors because if I'm competing against someone and we're going back and forth every competition or whatever, I want to learn from them. I want to be friends with them because I just appreciate the talent, hard work, the grit, all of that. It's just those are the kind of people that I'm attracted to as far as my circle. So just learning from those people, having conversations with those people. I'm really lucky with my consulting business with Team Champ, um, that I get to, do video reviews for a lot of other teams. And so I get to see what they're doing and I get to have conversations with them about, how to fix that. And I share with them what I do and I get to see what they do. And that just makes us all better too. And what's crazy with when I started the whole consulting and video review thing and score sheet reviews, all of that, I really thought that I was going to get like, I was thinking, D2 gyms, smaller gyms that, might not have as big of a staff and are just looking for a second opinion, looking for someone that's experienced that kind of knows what they're doing, um, you know, to get that extra help, that extra eye on the routine or whatever. And that wasn't the case at all. I'm like, my clients are like some of the most experienced, talented, successful coaches in this industry. And that just goes to show that, keep your circle successful. Like if you want to be successful, you need to get the opinions of the other successful people. Those are not your enemies. Those are the people that we build together. We build this industry together. And that in itself is just so cool that people that like win stuff all the time, like want my opinion,
Yeah.
just like I want their opinion, So don't stop learning. Don't be too proud.
Mm.
No one has all the answers, and I mean, the game is changing, not just season to season, but month to month at this point.
Yeah.
So you got to stay on your toes. You got to keep learning.
Yeah.
I don't even
No,
remember what the
you answered
question
it
was at this
perfectly.
point. I
No,
just kept
you answered it
going.
perfectly. I asked, how you would stay knowledgeable or stay, ahead of the game, and I mean, that was brilliant. That was brilliant, and I know that that's going to resonate with a lot of coaches. What's crazy, and you know this, and maybe nobody else knows. Like I'm not coaching this year. I'm not coaching anymore, and that like arm's distance thing that you're talking about, like I've felt that so often, so frequently as a coach, but as the music producer, especially since the rules changed, in 2016 when the music rules changed, it was like almost all of the music producers, we kind of just banded together, at least the ones that were like, okay, like we're sticking with this, like this is what we do, and now we're gonna learn to adapt. And it that circle became much smaller. And like even as you're talking about being around and being in that circle, it's like I have become and still really good friends with 20 different music producers across the country. We text back and forth when something comes out, or we learn a new trade or get an idea, or the new plugin comes out. And it's like, as you're talking, the light bulb for me went on. It's like, oh my gosh, like that rarely happened as a coach, but it happens like once a week as a music producer, and I think that, man, the coaches in the industry can learn so much from that wisdom that you just shared, because it's so true. It's so true that when you stay open, and when you're available and other people are open and available and you're sharing that knowledge, it just makes everybody better. Like everybody gets better, and there's room for everybody at the table. That's the thing.
Yes,
There's
and
there's
that's,
room
I
for everybody.
think that is somewhat lost. There's room at the table. We can all be successful. And I truly want everyone that works hard, that puts in the work. If you deserve it, I want that for you because we can all be there. And I'm in close proximity to multiple world champion programs, national champion programs, and we can all be successful. There's no reason to be in contention with each other in that way. It's bringing more people into the industry, and that's good for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
just not just from a business standpoint, but for growing this industry, just the talent pool, just everything, it's more visible. Um, it's just a cool thing. And, you know, I know for a fact the best of the best out there collaborate.
Yes.
They don't just care about the people that are wearing their uniform or wearing the same color as them. It's we're creating the content that people want to see, whether it's a routine or a mix or any of that. It's there's so many people that are a fan of this industry, and I think people need to take their contribution a little bit more seriously, and in the way that it's not about you. It's
Mhm.
not. It's about
Mhm.
us, all of us. And when we look at it from that perspective, I think it's so much more enjoyable for everyone. And I just think the product is so much better.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. And I I keep, relating everything to music now because that's my whole gig, right? That's my whole shtick now. It's like, but I have had so much fun over this last year, and really at NCA, I had such a blast on Saturday. I was all over the place. I was from the arena to hall A, B, C, D, E, everywhere in between, just running back and forth. And it was so much fun to see so many different levels, so many different age groups, so many different coaches. And of course, I was, very aware of how fortunate I am to be able to work with, these incredibly talented and wonderful programs and coaches. But it's so cool to see the level of success at every level. And it used to not be like that. It used to be, back in the day, it was like it was about the world's team and nobody else really cared about anything else. But now it's like there's the level ones require elite coaching. The level twos require elite coaching. And it's like that's where it really resonates to me. Like there's room for everybody at the table. There's room for everybody to find their niche, right? Find where your groove is and just be great, and let's do it together, and let's share that knowledge. Let's share that, there's yeah. I You keep saying things really eloquently and then I'm butchering them. So
No, I think you're both doing great. So,
okay, so my next question, since you have been in the industry quite some time now, about 2 decades, is there anything? And I'm gonna give you a two-parter. The first one is really about routines, and cheerleading that you see on the floor. Is there anything missing from today's cheerleading that you just wish would return to cheerleading? Just for the routines, we're gonna talk about like coaching and the professional side, but as far as routines that you see, is there anything missing now that you wish would make a comeback?
that's a tough one. I don't really, I don't think anything specific. Um, I mean, it's changed so much and it's kind of gone back and forth. I do kind of enjoy that we don't have to do so much in the difficulty side anymore on the current score sheet. I think that they scaled it back a little bit, allowing us to take more time with, the routine composition and just being able to have like transitions that aren't rushed, not having to pack so much in. Because there was a time there, especially like I'd say like 10 years ago, we had to do everything under the sun. We're putting up like 12 stunts on large co-ed and stuff. And it was just, it was really hard and it required a lot of our athletes and coaches to get that done. So being able to scale that back a little bit and focus a little bit more on routine comp, choreography, and just taking it kind of back to the foundations of cheerleading, kind of like that. All within reason, of course. Like I believe in difficulty. I want to see the skills. I want to see people pushing the limits. But like capping the kind of the number of things that we have to do, I think has been helpful. So I think that we're getting to a point where we can kind of bridge that gap, and we're doing a little bit of both, which is really cool. Um, but I mean, I enjoy, I can appreciate each like era of cheerleading for what it is and what it isn't. It doesn't need to be a certain thing. I feel um, like I love old school, clean cheerleading. Like I'm a huge fan of, like I'll never forget Triathletics Super Cats 2004 at Worlds. Just incredible routine, just so clean. And that's like when I think of like classic cheerleading, it's like stuff like that. But I also love the new stuff. You know, I'm more of like a clean coach. I like a little bit more of the traditional. than the theatrical, but I also appreciate the theatrical.
Mm,
Like everyone goes online and they want to talk bad about people for whatever. They don't like their uniform. You don't have to wear their uniform. You don't have to do that routine. But I mean, it's good cheerleading. Can't you appreciate it? Like give them their tens, you know? I mean, you has nothing to do with you.
right?
And also, you can have your faves and you can also give someone else their cookies. I mean, I just so the styles they come and go, but I mean, I think they all have their strengths, all have their weaknesses, and just celebrate all of it. Because if everyone was doing the same thing, how boring would that be?
So boring.
Yeah,
Yeah. Just like people. If we were all the
right.
same, ugh. We first of all it'd be boring. Second of all, we wouldn't be able to like can you imagine if the world was full of bodes? How awful would that be? Listen, there's two right now and that's
That's
enough.
enough.
That's
I
enough.
know.
Two is enough. These emojis, I have got to turn those off. Okay, so now the other side of that question is there anything missing? And it doesn't necessarily mean it's missing like it used to be here, but is there anything missing on the professional side, like from coaches, gym owners, industry leaders of any status? Is there anything missing that kind of stands out? It's like, man, I wish we would have this. Oh, he's trying to narrow it down. That I know that sigh.
I don't know. I it's different for me or for us because I remember being a younger coach and, really looking up to some of these very, very experienced, like people that established their gyms and stuff like that. And just that was like the end all be all to everything. And now the pool of talented coaches or people that would be considered mentors is much more broad. It's a lot deeper, and I would like to see a little bit more of a coalescing of a leadership from a coaching perspective. Because we have so many people that are guiding this industry from different viewpoints, and I think that they're all important, whether it's from event producer side, the governing body side, music producers. I would like to see a little bit more strength in the leadership from the coaching side and from the gym owner side,
Hmm.
because just from my experience being in the trenches day in and day out, really knowing what the people are looking for, and I mean most of the time we have to answer for the things, the shortcomings or whatever, in the industry. So I do miss the strength of that. I want to see more of that. I want to see more people stand up and, not necessarily, to throw their weight around or to criticize anyone that's making decisions, but I would like to see a little bit um, bigger seat at the table.
Mm.
Because I know that it was so inspiring to me back then to look up to some of these big dogs, just really, leading the industry. I just want to see a little bit more of that.
Yeah, right on. Okay, so one last question, and then I'm going to open it up for you for the very end. But my last question is, and you actually once again just touched on it, even answering that last question is, do you have any advice if there's someone that is a green coach rookie, like within their first season or a couple seasons of coaching? Do you have any advice to give someone that is just starting out, like coaching? Anything you want to say to them? Maybe they're it's March, so the season's almost ending. They might be feeling super excited or super discouraged, but just a new coach that's going through it. Any advice that you would give to a new coach?
Nothing is going to make you a better coach like experience. And unfortunately, when you're young and you first start out, you're very eager and you want it all, but it's not that easy. And there's a lot of people that win right out the gate, but like we talked about earlier, that longevity. If you want something that's lasting, it's gonna take time. You have to like plant those seeds, you have to water it, and you have to be diligent. And sometimes the harvest is not gonna come. Sometimes you gotta wait a season. Sometimes there's drought, sometimes there's famine. And if you want to be one of the greatest, you have to wait out those times because you learn so much more about yourself and the industry, your athletes, and all that in those times. we either win or we learn, and there is something to learn from the winning, but I would say, a lot of that is about graciousness and being humble and that, but the true lessons come from the disappointments. And you're going to have a lot of both. Like every single person that's won everything, they will tell you that they've lost a lot more than they've won. And, if you want that glory, you have to be humble enough to accept that defeat. So don't be discouraged because we're all going to be there again and again and again. And something that I tell to young coaches all the time is, we get to do this as many times as we want as coaches. I can do this till I'm 6 feet under. I'm like a vampire. Like I'm immortal in this industry. I can keep going as long as I want. But the kids only get a certain amount of time to do this, whether it's, when they graduate from high school, graduate from college, or when their body gives out because there's people cheering into their 30s and stuff like that, but we can do it as many times as we want. If you're gonna mess up, you're gonna win, but it's not about you. And if you don't win this one, there's always next time. But like focus on your athletes, focus on them, give them the best experience possible, and I guess the rest will just come together.
Awesome. Brilliant, as always. Insightful, thoughtful. That's part of why I love you. Okay, so the last thing is, no question, I just want to open it up to you. The floor is yours. You could do a PSA. You could shout out, a coach that you want to thank for just giving you opportunity, although you already did that. But just wanted to give it up to you. If there's anything that was, on your mind when you finally agreed to letting me interview you, if there was anything that you were like, oh, I hope this comes up, or I hope, I get a chance to say this or share this, anything that you want to say to anybody, I just want to give you the opportunity.
Oh, I think I want to just speak to all the coaches out there. I know that this is so physically and emotionally exhausting, and I'm definitely myself feeling it a lot right now. But just keep going. We got this. I think it's so cool to go to these big competitions and see what you are doing as a coach, and just keep doing it. Be really good at whatever you're doing, and just keep contributing, keep on making people fall in love with this sport, the same way that I know that I did when I watched Bring It On so long ago, um, because we are inspiring a whole new generation that are going to continue to lead and grow this industry. So let's keep doing it. I'm proud of you. I love what we're all doing together, whether you are a coach or a choreographer or a music producer, a gym owner, a business owner that's in this industry, whether it's uniforms, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it, keep being great at it, because there's room at the table for all of us.
I love this guy. If you've watched this or listened to this whole thing and you don't love NM Champion, I don't think you have a pulse. Okay, man. Well, I know you said you're not big on social media, but just in case people want to follow you and see what you're doing, throw out your ats on whatever social media you're on, and then also make sure you tell the people how to book, with Team Champ. How do they get that and get that video review? Do all of it.
Well, you can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram at Adam World Champ. And then if you are interested in video reviews, or with Team Champ, I do a little bit of everything. So video reviews, looking at score sheets. I can, come to your gym, do some guest coaching, cleanups, skill camps, and all that kind of stuff. And my email address for that is teamchampathletics@gmail.com.
Boom. There you go. Now everybody knows. Well, thank you once again, Adam. I love you. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Have a great day at the gym, and tell all those Onyx kids I said hey.
I will. Love
All
you.
right. Love you, bud.
Bye.
Bye.